Hey guys, tonight we slip into a moment where a single left turn changes everything. You're behind the wheel, it's just past dusk, and the rain's tapping out its chaotic Morse code on your windshield. One hand on the steering wheel, the other halfway to your travel mug. You're not speeding, just floating through your thoughts. Maybe about dinner. Maybe about Miguel. But then the tires hit that slick bend near the old underpass. You know the one. That curve that's always sharper than it has any right to be. Your world tilts sideways. No warning. No cinematic soundtrack. Just screeching rubber, a jolt of weightlessness, and the crunch of metal colliding with unfortunate reality. When you open your eyes, everything's spinning. People swarm. Lights strobe. A paramedic mutters something about your leg. You try to move it. Mistake. Pain shoots through your body like you've been stabbed by history's worst invention. Probably the same guy who invented corsets. Or powdered wigs in July. They lift you onto a stretcher. Everything smells like antiseptic and burnt coffee. You hear someone say compound fracture, and it doesn't sound promising. Later, much later, you learn that if your airbag hadn't gone off exactly when it did, you'd have been starring in your own Roman tragedy. Historians still argue whether Julius Caesar's last words were, "Et tu, Brute," or "Ow, my leg," but you feel oddly bonded to him now. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your city and local time in the comments. I always love seeing where you guys are tuning in from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You wake up in the hospital, your legs swaddled in bandages like some tragic mummy cosplayer, except the only pyramid you're near is the triangle of sad jello on your lunch tray. The ceiling tiles above you are off-white, speckled, and slightly threatening in their sameness. A monitor beeps nearby, either to keep your heart steady or to remind you you're still alive, depending on how dramatic you're feeling. The nurse, Jessica, or maybe Janet, has the energy of someone who's seen too much and caffeinated too little. She smiles kindly, though, and tells you your boyfriend hasn't visited. Yet. That word rattles around like a marble in an empty jar. Miguel, who texts you goodnight every single night. Miguel, who leaves little notes in your coat pockets like some 90s rom-com extra with a stationery fetish. Where is Miguel? You reach for your phone and nearly throw it across the room. Not from pain, though there's plenty of that, but from what you see on screen. There he is, at a party. Grinning next to his ex, Carmen, who's wearing the same perfume you once faked a rash to get her to stop gifting you. The caption on the photo? Finally free from the needy drama queen and her constant demands. Smiley face. Champagne emoji. #blessed. Your heart does that cartoonish drop, like Wile E. Coyote just realizing he's run off a cliff. Historians still argue whether heartbreak or betrayal is more painful, but lying there with a broken leg and a splintered heart, you feel like you're starring in the original Greek tragedy that inspired them all. And to top it off, it's not even a flattering picture of him. You blink at the screen, then again, slower this time, like maybe the words will rearrange themselves into something less humiliating if you just give them a minute. They don't. Finally free from the needy drama queen, still glares back at you, fluorescent and cruel. You wonder if Carmen typed it for him. She always had a thing for melodrama and questionable font choices. Your thumb hovers over the comment section. Maybe just a period. Just one mysterious dot to let him know you saw. But instead, you shut the phone off and set it down like it's radioactive. You don't cry. Not yet. Instead, you stare at your own toes under the hospital blanket, trying to remember when exactly the relationship started curdling. 4 years. That's how long you and Miguel were together. Long enough to memorize each other's sandwich orders. Long enough for his mom to text you more than him. Long enough that, once upon a time, you actually thought he'd propose at that weird little vegan jazz cafe you both liked. And now, poof. Ex-girlfriend selfies and petty captions while you're lying here looking like roadkill on a morphine drip. There's a knock at the door. The nurse again, definitely Janet this time, tells you visiting hours are over and looks at you like she wants to offer a hug but legally can't. You nod. Say nothing. You scroll back up to the picture and do something historians still argue about the usefulness of. You screenshot it, just in case. For evidence, for future petty revenge, or maybe just so your brain doesn't convince you later that you made it all up. As she dims the lights and leaves, you're left alone with the steady beep of the monitor, the sterile smell of antiseptic, and the acid taste of betrayal blooming on your tongue like bad wine. You wake up to the soft chirp of monitors and the faint buzz of fluorescent lights. The pain in your leg is duller today, like someone took a hammer to your shin in a dream, and now your bones are politely reminding you of it. Breakfast arrives with the enthusiasm of a brick through a window. Soggy eggs, dry toast, and a juice box that tastes suspiciously like regret. Your phone screen lights up again. 2 new notifications. Not Miguel. Of course not Miguel. It's your cousin sending a meme about astrology and a reminder that Mercury's in retrograde, because clearly the stars have been in a foul mood lately. And the second? Oh, a story post. Carmen, again. This time, it's just a heart emoji over Miguel's face, and you swear she chose that filter on purpose. Sparkly eyes, glowing skin, the whole influencer starter pack. You toss the phone onto the tray and stare at the ceiling, trying to remember when the cracks started. Not in the tiles, though they're there too, but in the relationship. Maybe it was that time he canceled your anniversary dinner because he forgot his friend's poker night, or the time he told you therapy was a waste of money for people who don't gym enough, or how he never once learned how to spell your favorite restaurant's name after 4 years of takeout orders. Historians still argue whether Cleopatra died from a snakebite or poisoned herself, but either way, she saw betrayal coming and went out with flair. You, on the other hand, are lying in bed wearing a mesh hospital gown, half a sock, and the residual stink of someone else's party. You sigh, more out of boredom than sorrow. You've got time now. Lots of it. And just like the ancient Romans used broken amphorae for new mosaics, you can start collecting the pieces. You scroll again, just because you hate yourself a little right now. The comments under Miguel's party pics aren't just friendly banter, they're nuclear. One from his cousin says, "About time you ditched the dead weight." Another, "X looks fire fire fire, what were you thinking before low?" You zoom in on Miguel's smug expression. He's holding a drink and flashing that fake deep-in-thought pose he always did when he wanted to seem cooler than he was. You used to fall for that. Now it just looks like he's constipated. You laugh, out loud, which makes the nurse walking by glance in and ask if you need anything. You wave her off with a, "Just pain meds and vengeance, thanks." She chuckles politely. You're not even sure she heard the second part. Back in the feed, one particular photo stands out. It's Miguel sitting on the kitchen counter. Your kitchen. The plant you kept alive for 3 years, barely, sits behind him, looking healthier than ever, probably because you haven't been around to stress it out. Carmen's in the shot too, kissing his cheek while holding a glass of your favorite wine. You didn't even know she liked Merlot. Honestly, you're not sure she knows what a grape is. There's something ancient about betrayal in your own home. Julius Caesar probably felt this same cold wash of rage when he saw Brutus raise the dagger. And, much like Caesar, you trusted too much. At least you didn't get stabbed in the literal sense, unless you count hospital bills. Historians still argue if the betrayal was born from ambition or insecurity. Either way, you're done handing people knives and smiling while they sharpen them. You place the phone on the windowsill this time, facing down. Time to get serious. You stare at the ceiling tiles like they're a chessboard, and you've just been checkmated by life. But you're not the surrendering type. Not anymore. That ends with this cast on your leg and the ache in your chest. Your phone buzzes. It's a message from Becca, your roommate from college, who somehow always knows when your world is imploding. Saw the pics. Want me to slash his tires or bring donuts? You reply, "Can we do both?" She types back, "Classic combo." You smile for real this time. You don't know it yet. But this moment is where the shift begins. Not with fanfare, not with fireworks, but with one friend offering sugar and petty crimes. History is full of quiet turning points. The Treaty of Tordesillas? Just a couple guys drawing lines on a map, but that line-shaped empires. Maybe Becca's message is your map line. Your empire's next era starts here. You start sketching ideas in your hospital journal. First draft, Operation Glow Up. Too dramatic. Second, exit strategy, Freedom Edition. Better. You draw a little cartoon of Miguel being stepped on by a stiletto heel and giggle quietly. The nurse peeks in again. You pretend to be very focused on your vitals. Fringe historians believe Cleopatra didn't die by snakebite but staged her death to escape her political mess. Now that's a rebrand. You're not staging anything. You're rebuilding, with new rules, new boundaries, and a very public glow-up that'll make him wish he'd never found his ex's DMs. The old you would have cried for days. This you're already planning an outfit for when you post your own finally free photo. A week later, you're wheeled out of the hospital like a war veteran, one leg braced, heart stitched with sarcasm and barely masked fire. The air hits your face like a wake-up slap from the universe. You inhale deeply, like this parking lot breeze is made of pure reinvention. Becca meets you at the curb with coffee and an impish grin. I brought glitter. You blink. For what? She raises her brows. For whatever needs glitter. History books don't always record glitter, but they do talk about the Renaissance, which, surprise, started with a bunch of Italians deciding life could be about more than survival. They leaned into art, architecture, and wildly impractical ruffled collars. You're leaning into joy, spite, and yoga, the trifecta of healing. At Becca's place, you post your first I'm alive and radiant photo. You, leg propped up, holding a pastry like it's a diamond. Captioned, turns out hospitals serve soul clarity with a side of morphine. The likes roll in. So does a message from Miguel. He writes, hope your leg's better. We should talk. You stare at the screen. The audacity. You picture him sitting there with his coward thumbs and type back. Sorry, this number's reserved for humans who don't post about me like I'm a Netflix villain. Then you block him. Mid-text bubble. Ultimate power move. Fringe theorists argue that Joan of Arc may have never even held a sword. She might have just talked like someone who did, and terrified her enemies anyway. That's your new strategy. Whether or not you're ready, you're acting like you are. And people are noticing. The leg still hurts. The betrayal still itches. But your self-worth? That's healing faster than the doctor predicted. You settle into your new daily rhythm, PT in the mornings, revenge fantasies in the afternoon, and deep contemplation of toaster pastries by night. Your leg, much like your faith in humanity, is healing in jagged, hilarious increments, and the universe, with its twisted sense of humor, keeps tossing signs in your path. Like yesterday, your Uber driver was named Miguel. You almost threw your crutch. Or the Spotify shuffle playing Since You Been Gone 3 times in a row. Coincidence? Historians still argue whether the ancient Greeks believed in fate or just dramatic irony. Honestly, you'd vote for both. Becca convinces you to join a local women's entrepreneurship circle, code for a bunch of formidable women with complicated coffee orders and plans to take over the world. At first, you limp in like a background character. But by week 2, you're pitching ideas. Mobile healing spaces, you say, like food trucks, but for your soul. One woman, a retired nurse named Cynthia, claps like you just invented indoor plumbing. That's genius, she says. People would pay for that. Another nods, adding, especially the corporate zombies. Fun fact, the first documented spa in history was in ancient Mesopotamia, where royalty bathed in hot mineral water and probably complained about their husbands. You might not have mineral springs, but you've got ambition, Becca's hot glue gun, and a collection of LED candles from Target. Close enough. You spend hours sketching van layouts on napkins and reading about how Oprah got started. Hint, not by waiting for an apology. Becca designs your logo while blasting 90s girl bands. The future feels weirdly delicious. The pain is still there, like a bruise you press just to feel something. but now it shares space with something else, purpose. You finally rent the van. It's not exactly glamorous. It smells faintly of dog and has a dent the size of a disgraced Roman senator's ego. But it's yours. You scrub it clean with lemon-scented vengeance. The first night, you sit in the back on a camp chair, staring at your vision board taped to the wall. LED candles flicker around you like it's a seance for your old self. Your first customer is a middle-aged divorcee named Carla, who cries for 40 minutes and tips you $100. "This feels better than therapy," she whispers before walking off lighter than she arrived. You realize then, you're not just running a business, you're building a sanctuary. Just like Cleopatra, who historians say may have bathed in donkey milk to keep her skin smooth, you're leveraging healing rituals for power. Okay, yours involves eucalyptus spray and folding chairs, not livestock. But still, there's ancient royalty energy here. Word spreads. Local office workers sneak away for midday breathwork. Retired teachers show up for yoga and gossip hours. You host a bachelorette party and give out lavender eye masks like Oprah. "You get a nap. You get a nap." Miguel posts again, this time shirtless, next to a motorcycle that definitely doesn't belong to him. The caption? "Living life with no regrets." You roll your eyes so hard it could generate electricity. Still, a tiny voice inside you admits it. You are grateful he blew up your life. Without the wreckage, you wouldn't be parked here, watching the sun slant through your fairy lights while Carla's leftover peppermint tea steams quietly beside you. You're not just healing, you're creating something. And no one, not Miguel, not your broken leg, not even that dent in the van, can take it away. A month passes, and you've adapted to this strange new rhythm. You wake up to the hum of traffic, a symphony of honking horns and coffee shop chatter. The people you meet are a mosaic of desperation and hope. Some just need a nap, others a reminder that they are still alive. And then, there are the occasional stragglers who mistake your van for a mobile therapy unit. You don't have the heart to correct them, but you start to feel it, don't you? A strange contentment. You didn't expect the stillness of it all, the peaceful solitude that sneaks up on you when you least expect it. Like when you lie down on that cheap air mattress and listen to the sound of the world rushing past, but you're still. It's the sound of your life finding a new beat. You get a call one afternoon. Miguel. His voice is hoarse, like he's been crying. "I messed up," he says. You don't need to ask what he's talking about. The photo, the caption, the whole fiasco. The realization that he's lost you is finally sinking in. You could tell him how many ways he hurt you, or you could be cruel, remind him of the pain. But instead, you smile. "I'm happy, Miguel. I'm happier than I've been in years." And that's the truth, isn't it? You're not angry anymore. You're not looking back, no matter how many regrets you may have had. You've let go of the weight, the expectations. You're free now, truly free, in a way you never thought possible. The world outside your van keeps moving, but you're grounded. And somehow, for the first time in a long time, you feel at peace with that. As the evening fades, your thoughts quiet down. The cool breeze gently ruffles the pages of the book you haven't opened in days. You reflect not just on the hard moments, but on the little victories, the ones that, maybe, no one else sees. It's in these tiny victories where you find the true meaning of freedom. The world outside continues its whirlwind pace, but here, in the warmth of this fleeting moment, there's calm. No more chaos, no more fear of what's next. You've learned that sometimes, the most important thing to do is just breathe and listen to your heart, not the noise of the world. Life is unpredictable, isn't it? Just when you think you've got it all figured out, it changes course. And that's okay, because you've learned to trust the process. To let go, to breathe, to let yourself grow through every experience, no matter how painful or unexpected. So as you drift into sleep, think of all the ways this journey has reshaped you. How, despite everything, you found your peace, you found a new strength within yourself. And though tomorrow might bring new challenges, tonight you rest. No demands, no heartbreaks, just a world full of endless possibilities. Now, dim the lights, take in a deep breath, and let yourself drift. The night has its own story to tell, one that only you will understand. Sweet dreams.